Okay, so I have Christine back in the salon for a mini move up. We did 3 rows on her previously. So we have 3 rows in her hair. This is 6 weeks? Mm-hmm. This is a 6-week grow out of her extensions, and so we did 1 pack of machine weft, and I'll link the video down in the description box for you to check out her initial install. But today we're actually going to be doing a mini move up of all 3 of her rows, and we're also going to add in some face frame tape-ins. So originally we just wanted to see how she did with this hair, and this is obviously just raw, unstyled. She didn't style this, she just washed it last night and let it dry naturally. So we're gonna get her moved up. We're gonna add in some tape-ins to give her a little more length in the front today. And then we're also going to trim up her ends a little bit because they are a little bit dry. She was traveling a lot and didn't have time to always moisturize her hair. So that's why we're just gonna trim it just slightly. It's really not bad. And then we're gonna add in the tape-ins around her face and give her a mini move up. So stay tuned for the rest of this video if you wanna see how I do a mini move up with my Wholy Sewn Method.
Let's go, let's lead, let's hit, let's go. Holy hair, let's go, let's go, let's go.
So we're gonna go ahead and do her mini move up first for all 3 of her rows. So what I like to do is make my life a little bit easier, and I like to section everything out in different sections. So I'm going to get all of her hair that is above the row, and I'm just gonna section this out of the way. And we're gonna start with the bottom row. So I'm gonna pick up my top first row, and I'm going to just section this off on a separate clip. And then we're gonna pick up the hair that's in the middle of there and section that up. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my pliers, and these are the ones that have the holes in them so that we can open up the beads really quickly and efficiently. So I'm gonna go through and I am going to pin up this bottom section here. So what I'm gonna do is, as you can see, we have her 6-week grow out here with my Wholy Sewn Method, and if we flip it up, we can see all of her beads under there. So that's what we want. So we want to flip this up, and I'm gonna take a clip and I'm going to put it right here so that I can use it in just a second. And I'm gonna grab all of the hair that's in the beads, and I'm gonna section those pieces down very carefully. And you want to stay very neat and organized when you're doing these move-ups. And then after I get all of the beads sectioned down like this, I'm going to clip up the extension hair, and we're left with just the beads on the bottom here. And then I'm gonna take my pliers and I'm gonna open each bead, and as I open the bead, I'm going to grab the hair while I simultaneously pull down and move the bead up. And when it feels like it's in a good spot and moved up sufficiently, that's when I'm gonna clamp it down halfway. Make sure it's laying nicely. We do not want this too tight. And you can ask your client, does that feel too tight?
No, it's perfect.
Okay. And then you're gonna clamp that down the whole way. So here you can see the difference between that bead and the rest of the beads. So we're going to continue to do that on each of the beads. Just going to open it. Oops. Pull it tight as we pull the hair down, push the bead up. Clamp it halfway, make sure we're in the right spot, and then clamp it down completely. Here's a little situation. So on this one, you can see I had sewn some of the hair that was in the bead up into the stitching, and I have it clipped up. So what we want to do is we want to take our rat tail comb and we just want to carefully pull that out and down, and then clip this hair back up. And then I should be able to just move that back up nicely. Okay. All right, now all of these beads are moved up and in place. We can comb out any of the shedding, which is completely normal to have a little bit of shedding when you do this. And then we're going to pull this down, and we have her first row completely moved up. So what you want to do when you're doing a move up is you want to isolate each section. So I'm going to isolate the whole row here, and I want it completely separated from all of her other hair. So you want to make sure that you isolate each row as you're moving it up. You don't just want it to be bunched up with all of her hair. We want to make sure that it is separated and isolated out. So what I'll do is I'll pin up the hair that's in between the rows. Just like this, so we have our row isolated. And then once we have that, you can see our row out on this row here. It's very clean and pretty. So we're going to take this row and we are going to grab our comb and isolate out all of the beaded sections. After we have all of the beaded sections isolated out, that's when I'm going to pin up this. So I'm going to grab my pliers and I'm going to be using the open part of the pliers to open up the beads. And I'm going to start on one end and go to the other end. So I'm going to open the bead one by one and push it up. Push the bead up while I'm simultaneously pulling the hair down. going down her hair, and she's all moved up on this row. And then we're gonna move up her final row here, and then we're gonna put in her tape-ins. So we already had this row isolated out. And I'm going to be doing the same thing on this row that I've been doing for the 2 previous rows. I'm going to isolate out those hairs that are in the bead, and we're going to be moving up those beads. So when I open the bead, I like to simultaneously pull the hair down as I push the bead up with the pliers. You can also use your fingers to push the bead up. I just find the pliers are a little bit grippier, and I like to use the pliers that actually have the grips on the clamping part. That just makes it a lot easier to use, a lot more user friendly, and it just makes your life a lot easier as a hairstylist. So it is important to invest in proper tools. I actually just got a new pair of pliers in, and they're so comfortable and they have great grips on them. These pliers are okay that I'm using in this video, but they just hurt my hands after a while because they're a little bit small and there's no grips on the handles. So I will link the ones that I just ordered in the description box if you want to check those out. And look at that gorgeous move up. What a difference. This is such a great service to use, and this can be used with my Wholy Sewn method. Not every method can you do mini move ups, but with my Wholy Sewn you can. Perfection. Okay. Now look at that gorgeous move up. Oh my goodness. How does it feel?
Feels perfect.
So for her tape-ins, I'm going to be using the Hotheads Originals in the color 15-25 color melt, and this is going to be a root shadowed color melt. And these are their original tape-ins, so they're gonna look like this. And we're just gonna put a couple around her face frame just to give her a nice added length in the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and get her sectioned for her tape-in install in the front. And like I said, we're just going to do a couple tape-ins to give her some added length in the front. And she parts her hair down the middle, so we always want to be aware of where our clients part their hair. So I'm gonna go in with a couple tapes right here on the front of her hair, and I'm gonna actually have you hand me these because just to make them look. So a way that I like to apply tape-ins, and you can do them however fits you, is I like to go ahead and get my section ready that I'm gonna be, like my location where I'm gonna put them, and I'll flip that up, and then I'll take my tape-in and I will take a rat tail comb and I will just lay it on the very bottom of the adhesive. It's almost like it's barely touching the adhesive, and this just gives more control over your installation, because if you're like me and you drink coffee, sometimes your hands are a little shaky. So I'm gonna place this just under her regrowth line on the bottom section there, and I'll move the camera up so you can see exactly where I'm placing this. I'm gonna place it right here, and then I'm gonna put the hair on top, and I'm gonna pull with tension, and then I'm just gonna roll my rat tail comb out and press down the hair on it so that it will stick. And then we want to make sure that this is a clean section on either side. We don't want any stragglers in there. And then I'm going to grab my other piece of the sandwich, and I'm just going to place that right on top of the section here. And we're going to sandwich this down. And there we have one tape-in in. Even just that made a big difference, right?
Yeah, totally.
And you don't want these to be too close to the client's scalp, because it can cause some serious irritation if it's too close. So 2 on that side actually filled it in really good, and we're gonna even up her haircut and everything. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm gonna go ahead and get her trimmed and styled, and I can't wait for you to see her hair after. This is going to be her after result. I love her color. It's so gorgeous. We're going to be due to do her highlights next time. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see her haircut video, how I blended in her extensions and trimmed them up. I will leave that video in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe, give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next video.
Let's go, let's lead, let's hit, let's go. Holy hair, let's go, let's go, let's go.